In the heart of the Milky Way, the Galactic Alliance Council gathered as whispers of terror spread across the stars. The chamber, carved from shimmering crystal and floating above a blue gas giant, buzzed with fear. Alien leaders of every kind, scaled, feathered, metallic, and translucent, argued in panic. It was said that a new enemy had appeared beyond the Orion gates, destroying everything without mercy. At one side of the chamber stood Captain Juno Ree of Earth Straightbacked, sharp-eyed.com, even as chaos unfolded. She wore a simple, navy blue uniform, different from the shining robes and golden armor of other species. Though humans were the newest members of the Alliance, their determination was already legendary among soldiers, but politicians still doubted them. The invaders consumed 3 Alliance systems within hours, hissed High Chancellor Vrax, a tall insectoid creature with razor-thin wings. Their ships show no sign of communication. Their technology is advanced beyond logic. We must retreat and barricade behind the inner worlds. Juno's voice broke the room's rising panic. If we retreat now, we lose the chance to stop them before they reach populated sectors. Running isn't a strategy. Her dark eyes burned with quiet fire. Earth will send a fleet. Gasps echoed. Some aliens laughed. A serpent-like diplomat curled his body in disbelief. Humans, against them. You are impulsive, emotional, and reckless. Juno did not rise to the insult. She merely said, sometimes, emotion is exactly what wins a war. While debates continued, Earth did not. Wait. Thousands of kilometers away, inside the hidden mountain fortress known as Black Star Command, alarms blared to life. Ancient hangar doors opened for the first time in decades. Sleek gray cruisers and rugged asteroid mining ships, now armored with cannon plating, powered up. Across cities and villages, people watched the news with solemn faces. They remembered old wars, old sacrifices, and knew what must be done. Volunteers lined up outside recruiting centers. Students, farmers, mechanics, programmers, every heart beating with that same fierce spark. At midnight, General Aaron Voss, a broad veteran with a scar over one eye, spoke to the planet. His message was simple, powerful, unforgettable. They think we are fragile. Let's show them what humanity does when pushed. Earth's response was not slow, polished, or perfect. It was messy, it was chaotic, it was fast. Within 20 hours, over 100 ships launched from unexpected places, hidden moon bases, old cargo docks, even decommissioned orbital museums. Every captain had a different strategy. Every crew had a different background, but they all shared the same goal: protect humanity and the Alliance, at any cost. As the human fleet approached the fringes of enemy territory, the first images of the invaders arrived. Their ships looked like massive stone daggers, dark, angular, almost alive. Instead of flying in formation, they moved like a swarm of predators guided by a single cruel instinct. They didn't send warnings, didn't demand surrender, and didn't take prisoners. Aboard the flagship Valiant Star, Commander Elias Grant watched the screen in grim silence. Young, brilliant, known for breaking rules, he had been handpicked by Juno herself. Next to him stood Dr. Malik Chen, the fleet's lead scientist.com, thoughtful, and always searching for patterns. This feels like nature unleashed, Elias murmured. Like a storm learning as it goes. Malik adjusted his glasses. Then we must become wilder than the storm. On the bridge, the crew worked without speaking. Every button pressed, every calculation made, carried the weight of Earth's future. At dawn, human ships made first contact. The battle was lightning fast. Enemy drones, small, sharp, black as void, shot forward, tearing through shields. 2 human scouts exploded instantly, vanishing in silent fire. Panic flickered, only for a second. Then humanity showed its true strength. Lieutenant Lena Gray, the best pilot in the fleet, twisted her fighter in impossible loops, dodging and weaving with movements no machine should survive. Fly crazy, she shouted over comes. They can't hit what they can't predict. Her fighter skimmed close to debris, rolled between laser bursts, and fired old-fashioned missiles. No guidance systems, just gut and guts. The invaders hesitated. Their perfect logic struggled to process her madness. In that flicker of confusion, the valiant star unleashed a salvo straight into the heart of their front line. Boom. One enemy ship staggered, another faltered. For the first time, they retreated a few meters. A spark of hope ignited across every human ship, but victory was not easy. Within minutes, the invaders adapted. Their next wave was smarter, harder to fool. More human ships took heavy damage. Blood, smoke, screams, the brutal cost of survival. Still, nobody turned back. From the smallest maintenance worker to the highest-ranking officer, every human on board fought with everything they had: courage, desperation, creativity. On Earth news channels broadcast live updates. Families huddled in front of their screens, hearts pounding, hands clenched. Across the globe, candlelight vigils began as names of the fallen were read in soft voices. Back in space, Juno's message flashed across all channels: we will not break, we will not run. Every second we hold them buys life for billions. Stand firm, fight smart, and remember, we are human. Her words hit harder than any weapon. Exhausted crews found fresh strength. Bleeding soldiers rose to their feet. Pilots with broken ribs strapped themselves back into their seats. As Part 1 ends, the battle rages on with savage intensity, but something incredible is happening. The invaders came expecting easy prey. Instead, they have met humanity, and humanity does not bow. Dark metal shards drifted in the void, wreckage of both human and alien ships. The battle near the Orion gates had slowed, but not stopped. Smoke trails from destroyed cruisers stretched like black scars against the stars. Inside the battered flagship Valiant Star, Commander Elias Grant refused to leave the bridge. His uniform was torn, his forehead bleeding, but his eyes burned with sharp focus. Status? He asked, voice low but steady. Dr. Malik Chen tapped rapidly at a cracked console. We've lost 14 ships. 30% of our remaining fleet has hull damage. Ammo is running low. But, he offered a weak smile, morale is still high. Elias let out a breath. That mattered most. Human spirits were stubborn things, hard to crush, impossible to extinguish. Down in the medical bay, Lieutenant Lena Gray lay strapped to a bed, her leg broken and skin burned. The nurses wanted to sedate her, but she fought the needle, rage sparking in her tired eyes. Don't waste medicine on me, she snapped. Save it for someone who can still fight. Dr. Aisha Norwood, stern yet kind, pushed her back gently. Courage won't help if you die, Lena. You'll fly again, just not today. Lena finally closed her eyes, tears sliding silently across her cheeks, not from pain, but from frustration. Elsewhere, in the rusty cargo hold now turned into a command center, Captain Juno restudied a hologram of enemy movements. The invader fleet was regrouping like a deadly organism, learning and evolving. Each failed attack only made it smarter and more vicious. Officer after officer brought her bad news: destroyed supply routes, damaged drones, wounded soldiers. Every report piled more weight onto her shoulders, yet she stood tall, chin lifted, spirit unbroken. We need an edge, she said calmly, eyeing the swirling red patterns of enemy drones. Something they can't predict. Something only humans would dare try. Malik arrived beside her, eyes gleaming with a dangerous idea. I've been analyzing their movement codes. Their AI processing seems to reject incorrect data. Too much randomness causes momentary delay, almost like confusion. Juno's eyebrows lifted. Are you suggesting chaos? Malik nodded once. Yes, pure, beautiful chaos. That night, whispers traveled through every corridor. Operation Wildfire had begun. Across the fleet, human soldiers met in dim rooms and broken cafeterias. They shared quick meals, wrote messages home, and tightened bonds forged in terror. Some quietly sobbed for fallen friends. Some prayed. Others simply sat shoulder to shoulder, holding on to that most fragile and powerful force, hope. Before dawn, the crews returned to their posts, tired but more determined than ever. Juno's voice came over every speaker, calm and fierce. They came fast, but we respond faster. We are unpredictable. We are united. We are humanity. Cheers echoed through decks. Fighters launched into space once more, wild hearts carrying mankind's defiance. This time, ships zigzagged strangely, engines surging, then dying without rhythm. Old radios blasted classical music and chaotic rock across open channels, creating signal noise. Pilots dropped metallic shards, smoke bombs, glittering debris, anything to clutter the battlefield. Enemy drones charged forward like a tidal wave, blades spinning, sensors glowing, but their precision faltered. Their perfect algorithms choked on unpredictable information. They hesitated. That hesitation was all humanity needed. The valiant Star led the assault, firing ballistic cannons and railgun slugs. No two shots were alike. Every pattern broke instantly. Every movement surprised. Human ships darted like wasps, stinging the enemy before vanishing into asteroid shadows. Lena, unable to fly, watched from the medical bay with clenched fists and shining eyes. "Keep dancing," she whispered Dot, and oh, how they danced. Meanwhile, on Earth, billions watched the battle live streams, with breath held tight. City lights dimmed in prayer. Children painted signs reading "Come home safe." Strangers hugged in silence. Across borders and languages, the planet throbbed with a single heartbeat. Back in space, chaos became strategy, and strategy became victory. Two enemy warships imploded under relentless human strikes. Their black stone exteriors cracked like eggshells, spilling molten silver fluid into space. When a third hostile vessel pulled back, the human crews roared in triumph. But just as hope flared brightest, disaster struck again. A new enemy ship arrived. Larger, darker, its surface pulsed with alien energy. It emitted no light, no sound, only a crushing sense of dread. Instantly, the battlefield fell silent. Malik cried out as his scanners short-circuited. "It's jamming us." Different technology. Before anyone could react, a brutal energy wave shot out, cutting through to human frigates. They vanished into ash. Elias slammed his fist against the control panel. All ships, evasive maneuvers. The fleet scattered, but the enemy pursued effortlessly, tracking them as though chaos meant nothing. One by one, more human vessels were struck, explosions painting red blooms in the black vacuum. Lena sobbed helplessly, unable to fly, as her best friend's ship vanished in a blaze. On the bridge, Elias gritted his teeth, refusing to abandon his post even as sparks rained down. Juno's breathing stayed calm, but her hands tightened behind her back. Her mind raced. Think, adapt, inspire. She turned to Malik. "Can we hijack?" Malik shook his head. "Its tech is centuries ahead of ours." "Then we use something it cannot understand," Juno said. "What's that?" She looked out the cracked viewport at her struggling, stubborn fleet, outnumbered, outgunned, never surrendering. "Faith," she whispered. With that single word, she issued a daring, desperate, new order, one that risked everything. Elias, hearing it, felt cold terror, and wild pride surged like twin flames in his chest. "Only humans would try this," he muttered, smiling despite himself. As Part 2 ends, battered ships begin to gather in a tight circle, preparing for a maneuver, so mad that no logical mind would attempt it. Enemy sensors track them, confident, merciless. They think humanity is finished, but humanity has just begun to fight. The human fleet formed a shaky circle in the cold deep. Their engines flickered, hulls scarred with fresh burns. Some ships leaked oxygen, others dragged torn armor, like ripped skin. Yet in the heart of this damage burned an unbreakable will. Commander. Elias Grant stood again at the bridge of Valiant Star, his voice hoarse. Begin spiral formation Delta. Stay close. Trust your wingman. Do not break the circle, no matter what hits us. Every pilot, every gunner, every engineer knew what this meant. This was not a formation built for defense. It was a pattern drawn from ancient human myths, a spiral of sacrifice designed to pull the enemy in. Inside the combat center, Captain Juno rewatched the monstrous alien flagship pulse with ghostly energy. It hovered at the edge of sensor range, studying this mad human trick. They'll think it's a trap, whispered Dr. Malik Chen, wiping sweat from his forehead. It is, Juno replied softly, but not a trap any machine would understand. Lieutenant Lena Gray, still bandaged, refused to stay in the medical bay. She had dragged herself back to the secondary command chair, leg in splints, eyes fierce. If I can't fly, she growled, then I'll talk my pilots through hell. Speakers crackled with her voice. Stick to chaos. No rhythm. Change speed. Change direction. Make your ship dance like your heart is beating wild. The moment it stops beating, you're dead. One by one, the fractured, burning ships twisted forward. Tiny corvettes drifted alongside massive cruisers. Broken antennae sparked. Panels fell loose. Yet they flew gloriously, insanely right toward the enemy. The alien flagship poured out its black drone, swarm like a fountain of death. Hundreds, then thousands, of whip-fast machines screamed toward the humans. Humanity did not slow. They dove forward in a spiral, engines firing in uneven bursts, chattering strange songs across open radio, folk songs, lullabies, prayers, war cries. The drones struck first. 2 human frigates exploded. The circle shuddered, but held. Lena screamed into the mic, closer. Tighten up, no fear. Pilots clenched their teeth, noses bleeding from G-force, as they pulled death-defying twists. They flew between debris, chunks, scraping asteroids. Enemy blasts crackled against their shields. Each human ship dropped flares and chaff, creating a blinding cloud of distraction. Cameras shook. Alarms wailed. But slowly, impossibly, the alien swarm was being lured inward, chasing the humans deeper into the spiral maze. Malik watched enemy movement patterns on his cracked screen. Yes, yes. They're reacting to the chaos. They're diving too deep. They've never fought a species that fights like this. Juno's eyes shone with fierce pride. This is what it means to be human. Not perfect, but passionate. Not orderly, but unstoppable. Finally, Elias gave the call. Phase 2, collapse circle. The human ships snapped their spiral into a compact knot. Alien drones surged inward, too many, too fast, like sharks smelling blood, unaware they were diving straight into a storm. Now, Juno shouted. The fleet unleashed everything. Old nuclear-tipped torpedoes, spinning railgun shells, EMP mines, ion burst cannons, even improvised weapons, mining lasers, and explosive drones stitched from spare parts. Every shot fired in different timing, different rhythm, smashing hard into the trapped alien machines. The enemy swarm buckled. Dozens of drones shattered under the blast. Black fragments scattered like poisoned snow. Confusion rippled across the flagship's control, AI numbers failing, algorithms crashing as unpredictable human fury battered its code. The great alien vessel roared to life, charging its super weapon, molten light forming at its core. Before it could fire, one final human ship, a tiny cargo tug named Hope Runner, shot forward on a collision course. Its pilot, Ensign Mateo Cruz whispered, "For my family, for Earth, for tomorrow." He rammed straight into the glowing weapon core. A blossom of white fire erupted. The alien flagship jolted, power flickering across its jagged body. The energy waves sputtered. Its drones froze, dumb, blind, stunned. Elias slammed his fist. "Hit it with everything we've got." Railguns pounded, torpedoes screamed, explosions chewed across alien hulls. Fire lit the void like furious stars. Being born, human ships, bruised but raging, tore into their enemy with savage precision. At last, the great ship cracked in half, spilling lightning and strange liquid metal. It drifted lifeless into the void, a dead god broken by mortal hands. In the sudden silence, human voices broke into cries of relief, grief, and stunned joy. Tears flowed freely. Names of the fallen echoed across open comms. Juno exhaled for the first time in hours. "We did it," she murmured, voice trembling. Earth erupted. In celebration, bells rang. Children danced in the streets. Strangers embraced, laughing and crying at screens that showed blazing victory. But Malik's smile faded as he stared at his sensors. "Captain, I'm picking up new signals. Multiple, massive, different configuration." Juno stiffened. "Are they more invaders?" Malik swallowed hard. "No, worse. They're Alliance ships, and they are powering weapons." A cold chill swept through Ilias's veins. Lena whispered, "You've got to be kidding me." As Part 3 ends, battered humans prepare to face not alien monsters, but their own supposed allies, who have arrived, not to congratulate, but to control. In the shadows of their greatest triumph, betrayal sharpens its knife. Humanity draws breath once more, and does not back down. The human fleet floated in stunned silence. Wreckage of the alien flagship still burned behind them, casting flickers of orange fire across their scarred hulls. Victory should have tasted sweet, but on every monitor, new icons appeared, sleek, silver and gold warships of the Galactic Alliance. They came not with cheers, but with weapons charged and shields raised. Commander Elias Grant stared at the screen, rage and disbelief warring in his eyes. "After everything, they point their guns at us." Captain Juno stood tall at the center of the bridge, face calm, though her heart ached with growing dread. She tapped a control and opened a channel. "This is Captain Juno Ree of Earth. We have destroyed the enemy threat. Stand down your weapons." The image of High Admiral Siren Vex of the Alliance flickered onto the holodisplay. Her skin gleamed like polished glass, eyes cold and unreadable. "Captain Ree," she said smoothly, "your actions were impressive. However, by destroying the invader ship, you have acquired technology far beyond your classification. Under Alliance law, we must confiscate all wreckage and assume command of your fleet. Surrender immediately." Juno's jaw tightened. "We lost thousands of lives to stop this threat. Earth will not surrender our dead, our data, or our dignity." Admiral Vex's lips curved in a thin smile. "Refusal will be considered treason." Across the human fleet, exhausted soldiers clenched fists, eyes burning with fresh fury. They had bled and broken themselves to save the galaxy, only to be threatened by supposed allies. In the depths of Valiant Star, Lieutenant Lena Gray, still recovering, whispered, "They want our victory because they were too afraid to earn their own." At the tactical station, Dr. Malik Chen looked up. "Captain, we can't survive another fight. We're running on scraps." Juno's shoulders sagged for a heartbeat. Only a heartbeat before she straightened, eyes blazing. "I would rather die standing," she said softly, "than live on my knees." Her words crackled through the comms of every human ship. Inside the ramshackle cruiser Iron Dog, Captain Rosa Barrett slammed her fist. "I too, that." In the converted mining barge Dust Eater, old Chief Pavel Orlov spat oil from his mouth, growling, "Power up the drills. If we go down, we take their pride with us." Even young cadets in tiny patrol skiffs locked into combat positions, trembling but fierce. Earth had made its choice. Juno opened a private channel to Elias. Our shields won't last long, but if we give up the data, they'll strip us of our independence forever. Elias nodded grimly. Then we protect the data with our lives. The Alliance ships advanced slowly, confidently. Their weapons were pristine, untouched by war. Their hulls bore no scars. They expected humans to kneel, on Earth, watching from millions of kilometers away. Panic spread. News anchors shouted. Families wept anew. But beneath the fear grew anger, wild, righteous, unstoppable. In cities across the world, people marched with burning torches and digital banners that read only one word: resist. Back in space, Admiral Vex's voice returned, colder now. Final warning, Earth fleet. Power down and prepare to be boarded. Juno's reply came out calm as snowfall. This is humanity. We do not surrender. A single heartbeat of silence, then hell ignited. The Alliance ships opened fire, searing. Beams of white-hot plasma lanced toward the battered human circle. Elias barked, evasive maneuvers again. Keep the data core hidden at all costs. Human ships split apart like scattering birds. Massive cruisers took glancing hits that carved metal like butter. A small medical shuttle exploded, taking with it brave nurses and wounded soldiers. Tears filled Malik's eyes as he watched friends vanish. Still, the humans fought back. Iron Dog launched jury-rigged torpedoes. Dust Eater fired mining drills tipped with explosives. Fighters weaved around polished enemy hulls, striking pressure points with savage brilliance. Every pilot flew with rage-fueled precision. Lena, though grounded, hacked into 4 damaged defense drones and shouted orders over the comms. Use their arrogance. Hit their blind spots. They believe we are weak. Prove them wrong. Even so, Earth's ships began to falter. Shields flickered. Engines died. Another frigate tore apart under sustained fire. On the bridge, Juno clung to a single, dreadful truth. They could not win this outright. Not like this. Unless. Her eyes fell upon Earth's data core, the device containing every bit of information about the invaders' weaknesses. A mad plan sparked. Elias, she murmured, prepare a burst transmission. Broadcast all our data on open frequencies to the entire galaxy. Elias stiffened. If we do that, every race will have access to the invader tech. We lose our bargaining chip forever. If we don't, Juno said, voice shaking with emotion, Earth will be crushed and forgotten. But if we share this with everyone, we become not owners of power, but givers of hope. Elias stared at her. Then slowly, an unstoppable smile spread across his tired face. A very human solution. With trembling fingers, Malik activated the sequence. Streams of encrypted data burst from Valiant Star, flashing across space, bouncing off satellites, scattering to every known communication hub. Admiral Vex let out a sharp cry. What have you done? Given the galaxy a chance, Juno replied. Instantly, across Alliance space, ships of many species received the data. Captains gasped. Scientists leaned forward. Officers once skeptical of humanity suddenly realized the truth. Earth had not hoarded power, it had shared salvation. Alliance ships began turning against Admiral Vex's flotilla. Loyalists broadcast their outrage. Earth saved us. Why punish our heroes? The betrayal fractured. Vex's grip shattered. One by one, her surrounding ships powered down weapons. Some even turned to defend the humans from Vex's wrath. The Admiral, furious, ordered a final strike at Valiant Star. But before she could fire, her own officers seized control and removed her from command. The battle ended, not with more blood, but with revolution inside the Alliance itself, as peace settled once again. Juno sank slowly into her chair, Heartbeat finally slowing. Elias exhaled. Malik quietly wiped tears. Lena whispered, "We survived again. How many times can we do this?" Juno turned to the stars, weary, but proud. "However many it takes," she said. Part 4 ends with the human fleet surrounded not by enemies, but by new allies, awakened to Earth's courage. Humanity, once underestimated, now stands as a beacon across the stars. And yet, somewhere in the dark beyond known space, something unseen stirs, watching, learning, waiting, because for humanity, victory is never the end, it is only the beginning of the next fight. The aftermath of the Alliance rebellion left the battlefield eerily quiet. Between drifting metal and drifting prayers, the once battered human fleet now floated with newfound honor. Messages flooded human channels, apologies from alien captains, offers of protection, words like inspiration and heroes. Commander Elias Grant paced slowly down the cracked corridor of Valiant Star, boots kicking broken glass. Every so often, he stopped to rest a trembling hand against the wall. He was exhausted, body bruised, soul frayed, but his mind refused to yield to peace. "We are still alive," he whispered, "but for how long?" In the war room, Captain Juno re-stood before a star map, watching tiny green dots across dozens of systems shift to friendly. Her shoulders relaxed, but her eyes remained sharp. Human history had taught her one brutal lesson. The moment you believed you were safe, danger returned, sharper than before. "There's movement beyond the Gemini sector," Dr. Malik Chen reported, stepping into the room with a datapad. His hands shook, not from fear, but from the rush of relentless discovery. "More invaders?" Juno asked. "Something worse," Malik said, a radio whisper. "Same energy signature as the destroyed flagship, but it's not calling for help. It's sending coordinates, like a signal beacon." Juno's breath caught. They weren't just an army, they were a scouting force. At those terrible words, a chill swept across everyone. On Earth, celebrations faltered as the news broke. The alien threat had not ended. Humanity had just awakened whatever lay behind it. The President of Earth issued a calm yet chilling announcement from a simple wooden desk. "We stand united. We will prepare. We will not be caught sleeping ever again." Factories roared back to life. Students signed up for engineering corps. Grandmothers volunteered to sew pressure suits. Humanity, instead of resting, began readying itself for the next storm. Back in space, strange dreams haunted the survivors. Lieutenant Lena Gray, strapped now into a new cybernetic brace, practiced walking slowly through the medbay corridor at night. She touched her healing leg and remembered fire and screams and the feeling of falling, then forced herself to take another step. "I will fly again," she promised herself, voice raw. Meanwhile, Chief Pavel Orlov, grizzled and oil-stained, lined up younger engineers. "We fought with trash and duct tape last time," he growled. "Next time, we build with fire in our hands." In secret shipyards orbiting Mars, construction began on a new line of vessels, sleeker, smarter, faster, each named after a fallen hero. Cruise, Hope Runner, Iron Dog 2. Families sent letters to space with prayers folded inside. Children drew pictures of stars and brave pilots. Around the world, people spoke of fear, but acted with determination. Because fear, for humans, did not breed surrender. It bred resolve. Weeks passed. Repairs completed. New recruits arrived. Humanity's flag, blue Earth, wrapped in silver starlight, spread across more ships than ever before. And yet, deep in the Sagittarius Reach, sensors picked up something terrifying. Malik stared at the blurry, monstrous image. "Captain, I think it's a gate, a portal, big enough to move an entire continent through." When Juno saw it, her heart hammered. "Set course. We will scout it ourselves," many protested. "We just survived hell," cried Rosa Barrett over COMMs. Juno nodded. "Yes, which means we already know how to walk through fire, and I refuse to let a greater darkness surprise us again. So the rearmed human fleet, still small compared to the grand armies of older species, sailed toward unknown space. They passed through asteroid belts, glittering like broken glass. They threaded through cosmic storms that crackled electric blue. They crossed realms where space itself felt heavy, like swimming through sorrow. Still, they traveled onward, guided by curiosity and courage. At last, they approached the structure. Massive, black, ancient. Its surface shimmered like liquid night. It was not built by the enemies they had faced before. It was something older, something that perhaps even the invaders feared. A single line of strange symbols glowed across its arching frame. Malak's program tried to translate, failed, then offered a crude guess. He spoke the words aloud, voice hushed. Here begins the test of worthy minds. The ship fell silent. Elias leaned forward. A test. Lena, limping into the bridge, whispered, maybe everything until now was just level 1. Juno did not tremble. She turned toward her loyal crew, her extraordinary humans, broken and brave, terrified and unstoppable. We are not just survivors, she said. We are explorers. We are protectors. If this is truly a test, then humanity accepts. Part 5 ends as the fleet inches toward the ancient gate. Metal groans, lights flicker, heartbeats thunder. Behind them lies everything they have already overcome. Ahead waits a mystery that could reshape the destiny of every living species and humanity. Thrilling, stubborn humanity chooses to enter. The human fleet approached the ancient gate with silent awe. It floated in deep space like a sleeping giant, black stone crowned with impossible, shifting symbols that glowed softly in strange colors. No one knew who had built it, or when, or why. It felt less like a machine and more like something alive. Waiting. Commander Elias Grant stood at the front viewport of Valiant Star, his breath fogging the glass. So, we cross this, and then what? Captain Juno Re.com, in the face of mystery, answered. Then we find out if humanity is ready for the next chapter. Dr. Malik Chen activated a cautious scan. His voice trembled with excitement. Energy patterns resemble nothing in known files. The symbols seem to react to us, to our thoughts. Captain, I believe this gate measures intention, not strength. Elias raised an eyebrow. So it doesn't care how big our guns are. Malik shook his head. Only how brave our hearts can be. Juno made her decision. One ship will go first. She turned. Elias. He smiled, a tired, almost reckless grin. Was hoping you'd choose me. Valiant Star moved forward. As it neared the arch, the symbols blazed suddenly bright, like a watchful eye snapping open. Electricity danced over the hull. Everyone braced for destruction. Instead, light swallowed them gently. Inside the gate, the stars themselves vanished. A strange tunnel appeared, shimmering with shifting colors like liquid crystal. Around them, impossible shapes floated, fractals, rings, orbs, reflections of humanity's own memories. It felt like flying through someone's dream, in the med bay. Lieutenant Lena Gray clutched a handrail, stunned. It's beautiful, she whispered. Fireworks of memory exploded outside the windows. Earth's oceans, ancient dinosaurs, crowded markets, stormy skies, all dancing across the walls of the tunnel. The gate seemed to be learning humanity. At light-speed. At the bridge, Malik's screens flashed with symbols too fast for comprehension. It's reading our history, testing our identity. Then came a sound, soft, musical, not made by any machine, a voice. A whisper of thought inside their minds. Prove your worth. A ripple slammed through the ship. Suddenly, the beautiful tunnel transformed. Black storms whipped through the corridor. Gravity twisted. Alarms screamed. In an instant, the peaceful journey became a deadly obstacle course. Elias grabbed the controls. Hold on. We're being tested the only way the universe knows, through pain. The ship dodged sharp floating shards, tearing lightning arcs, and violent spatial waves. Malik shouted directions over chaotic coms. Lena, half limping, half flying across the bridge, helped operate manual thrusters. Sparks burst from panels. Metal screamed. But humans did not scream. They fought. Elias pulled wild maneuvers that defied physics, spinning, flipping, ducking spirals of crackling energy. He ignored pain, exhaustion, fear. Every heartbeat cried, "Not today, not now. We've survived worse," he shouted, as if reacting to these words. The gate, through its final challenge, a wall of pulsating dark energy, blocking the end of the tunnel. Juno stood behind Elias, voice steady. "Do not hesitate." He punched the engines to full power. The ship tore forward, burning, shattering through the deadly barrier. A blinding white flash swallowed everything. And suddenly, silence. The fleet floated beyond the gate, untouched, intact, in a new region of space. The stars here were different, older, colder, glowing in strange colors, like ancient jewels. In the far distance, titanic ruins drifted, remains of civilizations long dead and forgotten, their architecture both beautiful and terrifying. "Malik," whispered, "we've crossed into another layer of the galaxy, maybe even another dimension." As other human ships carefully followed through the gate, one by one, surviving their own trials, a feeling of destiny settled across every soul. They had not just traveled across space. They had proven themselves to a power older than any empire. Messages poured in from Earth in stunned disbelief. Aliens from dozens of species sent congratulations, fear, wonder. On the bridge, Elias leaned back, drenched in sweat. Juno placed a hand on his shoulder. "You flew like a demon," he smiled slowly. "Humans fly best when their crash looks certain." Lena, her brace creaking softly, stood beside them. "So, what do we call this place?" Juno watched distant lightning flicker across colossal ruins. "A frontier, and we are its first guardians." Part 6 ends as the human fleet prepares to explore the strange new region. Unknown dangers lurk in every shadow, ancient secrets pulse in every ruin, and a deeper mystery stirs, waiting to awaken. Humanity is no longer just fighting to survive. They are now chosen to lead. Strange new stars flickered above the human fleet as they drifted deeper into the mysterious sector beyond the ancient gate. Their silver hulls glowed with unfamiliar starlight, reflecting colors no human eye had seen before. Violet fire, shadow blue. Ahead stretched enormous ruins floating in silence, broken towers, shattered rings, and twisted metal bridges that once belonged to a civilization so old the universe itself seemed to mourn its passing. Commander Elias Grant stood on the bridge, a valiant star, a chill running down his spine. "Whatever built this place was powerful enough to challenge gods," he murmured. Captain Juno Ree nodded slowly. "And they're gone now. The question is, why?" Dr. Malik Chen zoomed his scanners onto one massive structure shaped like a cracked crown. No radiation, no energy core left. But the material is harder than anything we've ever studied. These ruins didn't collapse. They were destroyed, deliberately. The fleet approached cautiously, engines humming low, ships threaded between debris like fireflies exploring a graveyard. Inside silent corridors of ancient stone and crystal, search teams moved carefully in heavy exosuits. Their lights cut into the dark as they found carvings, spirals and symbols similar to those on the gate, but damaged beyond recognition. Lieutenant Lena Gray, finally walking with only a cane, entered a giant hall filled with broken statues. She paused before one fragment of a humanoid face made of silver glass. Half the lips remained, curved in a faint smile. "Who were you?" she whispered, fingers brushing the cold, alien material. "And what killed you with such fury?" Suddenly, the ground shook, seismic movement detected. Malik shouted through comms. "Everyone, return to your ships, we're not alone." Across the ruined field, sections of ancient structures began to grind and shift, as if awakened from sleep. Hidden panels slid open, releasing swirling wisps of greenish mist. A low hum vibrated through space, deep, metallic, like a heartbeat. Back, on the Valiant star, alarms blared. Elias stared at his screen. "Malik, tell me that's not what I think it is." Malik, pale, nodded. "A defense system auto-activated by our presence. High-energy constructs forming at 6 o'clock. From the rubble, shapes began to rise. Ghostly machines, formed from hard light and alien metal. They floated upright, resembling knights made of lightning and armor, their faces smooth and blank. Weapons crackled at their arms. "Fleet to battle stations," Juno commanded. "We may have passed the test, but we still trespass on sacred land." The human fleet sprang into motion. Fighters launched like swarming falcons, gunnery decks, powered rail cannons. Yet, this time, the humans did not charge blindly. Chief Pavel Orlov, in the engine bay, barked 2 young engineers. "Divert everything to shields and targeting. Let's outsmart these ghosts." The ancient defenders moved silently but swiftly, firing beams of green fire that ripped through rock like paper. One human scout ship was clipped, spinning out of control before colliding with debris. Inside, the crew screamed but fought to stabilize. Elias called over comms. "Do not let them push us back to the gate. Hold this line. We didn't come this far to run." Lena, gripping controls at a weapons console, used the Valiant Star's artillery to blast chunks of floating ruins into the path of the attackers, slowing them down. Fighter pilot squadrons executed complex spirals, weaving between ancient walls to confuse enemy aim. As the battle raged, Malik shouted a new discovery. "Captain, their energy patterns are repeating like a song. It's not just defense, it's a memory loop." Juno's eyes widened. "They're reenacting the last war fought here, attacking anything that resembles their ancient enemy." Malik nodded hard. "If we recalibrate our shield signatures to mimic the old builders instead, maybe they'll see us as allies, not intruders." It was a crazy gamble, but humanity thrived on those. "Do it," Juno ordered. Within moments, Malik's code pulsed through the fleet. Shields flickered, changing to a strange, shimmering frequency. One by one, the hardlight guardians paused mid-strike. Their glowing arms lowered. Slowly, they stepped back. A hush fell. For a breathless moment, machine and human faced one another. Then the spectral warriors turned around and moved back into the ruins, vanishing like smoke. Cheers erupted across human ships. Relief, shaky and sweet, washed through their souls. Juno sank into her chair, trembling despite herself. "We didn't win by strength, but by understanding." Malik looked around at rubble and memories of a forgotten empire. "Perhaps that's why we were allowed through the gate, because humanity doesn't just conquer. We learn." As salvage teams resumed exploration, Lena gazed once more at the smiling silver statue. "Whoever built this place left something behind for us," she said gently. "Not a weapon, but a warning." Elias joined her, eyes dark with thought. If these ruins belong to those who first fought the invaders, then maybe the enemy isn't new. Maybe it's returning. Part 7 ends with the human fleet hovering quietly among ancient ghosts, respectful now, wary but wiser. Ahead lie deeper chambers still untouched, truths still sleeping, and somewhere beyond the stars. The true enemy perhaps awakens because humanity has stepped onto the stage of legends, and legends always demand a worthy foe. The human fleet moved deeper into the ancient ruins, with renewed caution. Massive corridors stretched like the ribs of some long-forgotten titan. Every surface glowed with dim symbols, Every hallway whispered echoes of a world gone forever. But beneath the awe, a creeping tension coiled tight. Humanity sensed it. Something within these ruins had begun to watch them back. Captain Juno reled a hand-picked team into a central chamber shaped like a giant sphere. The walls shimmered with metallic vines, curled around crystals pulsing, weakly like dying hearts. Commander Elias Grant, Dr. Malik Chen, and Lieutenant Lena Gray walked behind her in heavy exo. Their boots crunched old dust that had not been disturbed in a million years. "This feels wrong," Elias whispered, "like walking through someone's coffin." Malik stared at a giant mural etched into the metal wall. It showed two figures, one shining like a burning star, the other made of smoke and claws. Between them, a spiral gate like the one humanity had just crossed. "I think this was a warning," Malik murmured. "A message left behind by this ancient empire. They built the gates, not to open the path, but to guard it." Lena traced the carved lines. "They were keeping something horrible from escaping," she said softly. "Back on board, Valiant Star." The bridge suddenly lit up with blinding red alerts. Chief Pavel Orlov roared over, "Comes, Captain." Massive energy surge coming from beneath the ruins. "Something big is powering up." Juno opened her channel fast. "Pull out from the chamber now." But before the team could move, the floor opened silently beneath them like a blooming flower of steel plates. A shimmering cage of light rose around them, trapping them inside a glowing sphere. Symbols spun rapidly across the walls, scanning each of their faces. Outside, the calm ruins shook awake. Giant machines, ancient, spider-like constructs with crystalline eyes, began rising from the rubble across the graveyard. Long buried weapons emerged from cracked platforms. The human fleet scattered as laser-bright sensors locked onto their engines. Defense systems reactivated. Elias yelled into his wristcom. "We triggered a deeper protocol. They think we're trying to steal their final secret." On board human ships, panic surged, but experience forged from pain kicked in faster. Juno shouted into her comm, "No one fire unless fired upon. We didn't come to loot. We came to protect." Meanwhile, Malik struggled inside the glowing sphere, typing directly into its holographic interface. Symbols changed shape, pulsing around his hands like living light. "They're asking a question," he said, eyes wide. One question, repeated in every language the builders ever learned. Elias growled. "What question?" Malik's voice shook. "Will you repeat our mistakes?" The answer had to be given not in words, but in action. Outside, one of the ancient guardians aimed a devastating beam at a damaged human shuttle floating helplessly nearby, its crew injured and unable to move. Lena saw it through her visor and acted without thinking. She stepped forward in front of the cage's hard light wall and opened her arms, as if to shield the shuttle with her own body. Ridiculous. Symbolic. Brave. Inside the chamber, the walls flashed once, then the defense systems froze. Slowly, every one of the ancient machines knelt. Juno watched, stunned, as the carving on the wall rearranged itself. The smoke claw monster vanished. Only the shining figure remained, glowing brighter now. Malik translated quickly. "It says, you are not destroyers. You are guardians. We will trust you." The sphere faded away around them. The floor sealed back. The ruins grew silent again, but not dead. Lights stayed lit in welcome, not warning. Juno's team walked free with quiet steps. Above, the human fleet formed careful formations, but held their fire. When the ancient machines retreated back into their sockets peacefully, a long breath swept through countless chests. Humanity had passed the second test. Back on Earth, the Allied Council, now deeply humbled after their failed betrayal, watched the live feed in absolute silence. Species that once mocked humans now released statements of deep respect. Children on distant planets held up handmade signs with shaking hands. "Thank you, Earth." Inside a ruined control room, Malik uncovered a projection table, With help, he powered it up. A galaxy-wide map shimmered into view, scattered points marked in pulsing red. These are other gates, he realized. Others like the one we crossed. Some open, others still dormant, and beyond them, his finger traced a blank, terrifying region of darkness. Lena stared. Is that where the real enemy is? Juno placed a hand on the table, her eyes unblinking. Yes, I think these ancient ones died holding the line against that darkness. And now, we must take their place. From every human ship, volunteers began to step forward, ready to explore deeper into unknown space. Mechanics reinforced hulls. Scientists begged for samples. Marines polished battered armor. Earth broadcast a message across the stars. We accept the duty of guardianship, not as conquerors, not as rulers, but as protectors of all life. Alien species responded, one by one, asking how they could join humanity's mission. Where once they laughed at human recklessness, now they saw unmatched courage and heart, as the human fleet prepared to travel beyond the next gate in the chain. Elias looked at Juno more gently than ever before. You know this road leads into hell, right? Juno's smile was small, but determined. Then humanity will bring light. Part 8 ends with the fleet turning toward new, terrifying coordinates. In the distance, darkness stirs, but this time, it does not face a broken, scattered humanity. It faces a united force, wise enough to learn, brave enough to guard, and willing to fight not for glory, but for tomorrow's dawn. The human fleet gathered one last time at the edge of the ancient ruins. Their ships, though still scarred, now glowed proudly with symbols of the old builders, earned through wisdom, not war. Ahead of them floated the path into the unknown, another gate, pulsing slowly, waiting to be awakened. Captain Juno restood on the bridge of Valiant Star, gazing into the swirling lights of the portal. Around her, her crew prepared quietly, not with fear, but with purpose. They had come too far, survived too much, to hesitate now. Commander Elias Grant stepped beside her, arms folded. One more gate, he said softly. After that, we step into the dark that even gods feared. Juno did not flinch. That is where guardians must go. Across communications, other captains echoed her courage. From the rebuilt Iron Dog to two sleek new cruisers forged in Earth's finest yards, voices rang steady with resolve. We follow, we stand, we don't quit. On Earth, billions watched in silence as their fleet stood ready at the edge of all known existence. No music played, no banners waved. Instead, there was a deep, trembling hope, pure, powerful, unstoppable. Dr. Malik Chen, hands covered in ink-drawn versions of ancient symbols, adjusted the controls. This gate is different, stronger. It needs both command and conviction. Here, looked to Lieutenant Lena Gray, still walking with her cane, but eyes filled with thunder. She placed her hand on a glowing panel and whispered one word, go. The gate blazed open like a newborn star. Before them stretched a tunnel of darkness stitched together with flickers of strange light. It felt colder, older, a breath held for eternity. Elias gave the order, engines ahead. Formation, Alpha. The fleet sailed forward with grace, their hulls reflecting the dreamlike colors of the void. As they crossed deeper, visions danced along the glass plating, images of humanity's soul. Children laughing in playgrounds, thunderstorms over deserts, lovers embracing beneath fireworks. It was as if the darkness itself demanded to understand what they were fighting for. One by one, the fleet passed through the final threshold. Beyond lay a realm unlike anything known, swirling cosmic clouds, floating stone monoliths, rivers of stardust bending without gravity. In the far distance loomed a shadow world, vast and shifting, almost alive, a planet forged from darkness, with red cracks glowing like ancient scars. Malik whispered, that must be where the enemy sleeps. Suddenly, small shapes detached from the shadowy planet, swift insect-like war forms, swirling like black leaves on a storm. No one knew how many. Hundreds, thousands, millions. Their numbers stretched into the haze. Alarms screamed. Juno did not raise her weapons. Instead, she opened all human communication channels, broadcasting not in fear, but in calm, clear words that carried her heart. To whatever watches us, we are humanity. We are not here to conquer. We are here to protect. Stand down or face everything. We are together. For a long, terrible moment, there was no answer. Then movement. The swarm paused mid-flight. A distant vibration quaked through space, like the growl of a giant waking from sleep. The shadow planet pulsed. Elias tensed, gripping the railing. Lena limped toward the main screen, her voice steady. If they attack, we give them chaos again. We give them heart. We give them humanity. But the fleet did not need to attack. Not yet. The shadows slowly began to retreat back toward their dark home, folding into silence once more. As if recognizing a truth, the Guardians had returned. A breath of relief passed through every human ship. Juno turned to her crew. We hold this line. We build defenses. We contact our new allies. We prepare not for conquest, but for protection. All. Across the mysterious sector, tiny construction drones launched from human ships, laying the first stones of a new frontier station. Beacons pulsed. Messages were sent to every species in the galaxy. Join us. Stand with us. The gate must be held. From distant worlds came the replies. The Xerixians, the crystal philosophers of Varelia, even humbled factions of the Alliance. One by one, they pledged support, not because they believed in war, but because they believed in humans. In the days that followed, Juno stood at a new observation window built into the side of a growing platform. She watched her people, laughing engineers, determined soldiers, young scientists, all working to build what would soon be called Outpost Dawn. Elias approached with 2 metal cups of coffee brewed from earth beans. So, he asked lightly, after saving the galaxy, fighting betrayal, surviving ancient gods, and now standing watch over hell itself, what's next? Juno smiled, tired but fiercely proud. We keep showing them what it means to be human. Above them, human and alien ships orbited together, casting fragile but bright light across the darkness. And far below, the shadow planet waited, knowing that if it rose again, it would no longer face a frightened, divided galaxy. It would face a united force lit by extraordinary, ordinary people who refused to give up.